Hey, good morning. I'm back with another video. I'm not exactly sure what time it is. Let me see. It's 6:24 a.m. It's Saturday, and it's May 17th. And I woke up, I would say maybe, I don't know, about 30 minutes ago. So I'm sitting here lying in bed, and I'm getting ready to go make some coffee and start my day. But the first thought that came to my mind was, as it always is when I wake up in the morning, is how unhappy I am with the association of this particular so-called network that I was forced into. Now, I know that, um, a lot of people get, when you're a targeted individual, unfortunately, you deal with a lot of people who mismanage your things. What I'm saying is mismanage is they'll, arrange a job that's not really meant for you. Meaning, like, it's not in line with anything that you really care about. I was assigned a job over at BT Trucking. And like I said, had I just stayed the administrative assistant, I would have been happier because I felt as though, moving into things like the office manager and even worse, the position that was given to me when I got a promotion from that, the COO, it entailed more, um, inner dealings with the company and stuff. And quite frankly, I had no interest in the industry. Okay, none whatsoever. And the sad part, or the most unfortunate part about being in networks, is especially when you're someone who is innovative, somebody who is very inspired by certain things that may not have really been mainstream yet. You feel more inspired and more eager to take on challenges that don't mesh with the forced network. Okay, and why I say forced network is because I would never choose any of these people to manage my career. Okay, and I think they've done a very bad job managing my career, just because I'm in the situation that I'm in right now. Okay. um, I had talked about modeling the ideal workplace based on psychology and law. And this is really what I would prefer to be doing. I would be preferring to be working in companies where I'm, playing an integral role in that. And, I would get jobs that, like the last job over at, it was okay. And the only reason why it was okay is because, I could come into the little office every day, do my work, and go home, okay? Because I didn't feel like I was dealing with, some of the things that I had to deal with before. But overall, I'm never ever suited in jobs that are really linked to my real passion. And my passion are my projects. And I believe that my projects should be intertwined with my day-to-day jobs, because this is where my skills and my talents really lie. And I don't know why. Just because I'm a you know I don't know why I was associated with a network to begin with. I don't understand why. But unfortunately, at this point in my life, because of I've experienced things like blacklisting. I've experienced, because I've experienced things like blacklisting and targeting, becoming a targeted individual. It unfortunately has put me in a situation where I no longer know, or can trust looking for work. I've become almost like uh, a hermit. Like it fears, the fear of being associated with my network makes me uncomfortable, and I feel as though that they were incapable of really, providing me with the best, professional resources. I do get this feeling like right now within this network group that I'm associated with, they put a lot of emphasis on, me getting to meet Elon Musk and having a relationship with him. And don't get me wrong, I definitely want to get a chance to meet Elon and spend time with Elon, okay? But, in my mind, there is always order. There is order, okay? And this is why I do not like working within a professional network, because my order is never the same as their order. As a matter of fact, it's always, we want to put this in order before this happens, and there's no satisfaction for me. I find it very frustrating. And, I'm the kind of person, if I was to lose a job, I want to go right back into another one. I do not like, sitting around waiting and all this other stuff. I do not like being on unemployment. I do not like any other form of income other than working a regular job. And see, this is the problem when you are associated with a network. Okay, this is the problem when you're associated with a network, because your network does not really know, the kind of things that you really want to do. And this is why that falls short. And this is why, when I talk about, work-life balance and everything, it's very difficult to have that when people do not know or even care about, your career goals. Okay, yeah, I like Elon Musk, okay, but people need to understand, I always prioritize my career first. My career always comes first. Why? Because that's my means of survival. And it is in no way saying that, Elon's not cute enough. He certainly is cute enough, okay? I mean, I could sit here and look at pictures of Elon Musk all frickin' day, okay? I think he is adorable, okay? But first things first, I think it's more important for me to work. It's always more important for me to work, okay? And, right now, I feel like, okay, I don't know the city of Bakersfield very well. Like, I don't know, I know the industries. Like, I understand, there used to be a lot of agricultural work. There was, construction work and all that sort of stuff. But my world has been shaped and molded by this particular network and the gossip because of Rex Laverne. And, the whole Rex Laverne thing, fusing with the Diana Ross thing, was the worst thing that could have ever happened. That was the worst thing that could have ever happened. And yeah, I understand. I'm getting this message right now. The message I'm getting in my head is like Elon plans on um, contacting me again. Okay, and that's nice, okay? But please understand that, I like Elon, okay? But it's never going to supersede my need to have a career. It is never going to supersede. I have to have a career. I have to. I have to. Okay? And I understand that I'm known for my uniqueness and my intellectual abilities and my innovative ideas, and this is what I want. I want to live my life, with my career. I mean, I have to be this way, okay? Because I have to protect myself. I am never going to be somebody who wants to rely on Elon Musk or feel as though, I'm not interested in marrying Elon Musk. I just want to be, a friend for Elon. And, if it evolves into something more, great. But if it doesn't, I mean, I understand that I'm all by myself. I'm all I have. I am all I have, okay? And some people will say, well, you can rely on Elon. I don't believe in relying on anybody. Okay, this is the wrong mindset of a lot of people. This is why a lot of people get in these negative situations. And I'm somebody who prefers to always think ahead. And I do not appreciate, certain people in my group wanting to prioritize the things that I'm supposed to think are important. Okay, and I'm telling you, this is why I do not like this network. I do not like working within this network. Meaning the Diana Ross thing, the net. I know Rex is gone, and I know whatever, but this right here, to me, if I was in a good network, if I was in um, a real professional network, I would not be in the situation that I'm in. I would not be in a situation. If I was somebody who was manning a network and I had a certain group of people that I was like, responsible for, meaning like, okay, my network would work like this, okay? Like, I know Jill, okay? And Jill has been, like, I don't know, like a secretary for a long time, okay? In fact, she's a legal secretary. I understand understand her skill set. I understand the kind of, law offices that she would like to work in or whatever. So with that, I would match her accordingly based on her skill. Okay, if I understood that, if I had a graphic artist and I understood that they were passionate about, a particular industry, like maybe the fashion industry, I would work to try to match them in that. Okay, I don't. The thing is that I feel sometimes that I was with a network that either didn't understand number one, the network was forced, okay? Meaning, like, I would have never volunteered to have been a part of that network, okay? They have mismanaged my career so badly. They have really mismanaged my career, okay? And yeah, I take it as a career, even though they don't understand it, like, because they're thinking, okay, well, they think, well, you need a 4-year degree. No, I don't believe you need a 4-year degree to do your job. Okay, and I'm an innovator. I'm somebody who, goes with my ideas, believes in my ideas, and they're based on solid foundation, okay, and research, okay, and this is what I'm passionate about. I get tired of, this network always thinking that they can throw a man in my way to try to distract me. Yes, Elon Musk to me is the cutest little thing I can imagine, right? I think he's adorable, but that does not supersede my need to have a career. And it never will. It never will. And it has nothing to do with being defiant. It has everything to do with keeping my bases covered and making sure that I'm protected. Okay? Why do they feel, and I get so frustrated with the idea of people thinking that they should be managing my career when that really should be in my hands. But yet at the same time, these people put things in place that made my career very difficult. Meaning, like, they, the whole thing about King Solomon and all this other stuff. And you have a lot of people who are very ignorant about biblical things. I don't have a problem. I'm a very high functioning spiritual person. I just do not believe in organized religion. And that has nothing to do with work. Okay? The other message I get is that people project that I'm going to be having fun with Elon. And, I hope that's true. I hope that's true. That might be discussed somewhere out there in the ether, and that's nice, okay? But I do not want, I get tired. I would not be happy in a relationship knowing that I'm not working. I would not. As a matter of fact, I don't do anything. I don't function. I do not do anything until my fucking bases are covered. I always have to have a job. Unless, of course, I don't date. I don't want to date. I do not want to have friends. I don't want to do any of that stuff. My career always, always comes first. And it will always come first. Okay? And so right now, I'm not in a job. I'm not working. And I need to figure out how to get back to work. I need to get to work. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate because, this particular network that I'm associated with, I feel extremely demoralized and I don't feel comfortable in it. I do not feel comfortable in this network. And the network that I'm talking about is the residual people who were associated with Rex Laverne. Okay? Rex Laverne, uh, he knew nothing about managing a career, okay? And really, even though the job was decent over at Rex Place, I myself would not have chosen that myself, okay? I would have chosen something that was that would allow me to showcase my unique skills. That's what I would be doing. I would be getting into a job that would allow me to showcase my unique skills as well as maintain the overall platform of the vibration of the office because I'm very passionate about making sure that office environments um, run, run well, okay, based on um, human understanding, right? So, and this goes in line with my research and everything else that I'm extremely passionate about. And I, I don't feel as though the network that I've been associated with, that I've been forced into, okay, or really, when I look back, I'm thinking, okay, I don't really feel as though the network has really matched me well, and I don't understand why the network felt as though they had to. Why did they feel like they had to, tag along and ruin my career? Because that's basically what I feel if they've done. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that they clean up my my issue because I can't stand not working. I don't like not working, okay? And I do understand that I have a lot of projects that I want to finish, right? Everything that relates to my demoralization has everything to do with this this network, okay? This network has caused me more problems than you can ever imagine. And I'm trying to figure out why do I belong to a network? Why do I have to belong to a network? Why can't, and at this point, it has distorted my sense of reality because I don't know Bakersfield. I don't really know, what kind of industries are out here in Bakersfield. You know what I mean? I wish I could find a job, where I could be happy, where, I feel like it's an environment where everything is thriving and very highly functional, motivated people, is what I wish I could work in. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, it is what it is. Okay, so the other issue that I'm talking about is, oh yeah, going back to me not trusting my network. After I had talked about Rex Laverne, and then, I would say I lost my job in February, okay? And then since that time, I've been dealing with a lot of time to think about, what was going on, how this whole issue with Rex Laverne made me feel, how disturbed I am that people are unable to understand the most basic employment law. And of course, when I realized the whole picture, right, I needed to talk about it. You know what I mean? And then when my son lost his job, I felt as though my son's ex-boss, I do believe that his intentions were hateful. I believe his intentions were hateful. And see, the reason why is because I find it disturbing because here's somebody who interjected into my life when they had no reason to, when they had no right to, and then they want to sit here and punish my son on my behalf, okay? Obviously, my son's ex-boss was an asshole, and he was somebody that cannot be trusted. And, when I was sitting here trying to be peaceful, I wanted to resolve this in a peaceful way, right? I felt as though, especially after he was a part or supported Rex Laverne in my abusive, it being a part of my abuse, right? His little, because he knew that he was in the wrong, I felt as though him letting my son go was his little lame attempt to try to take some sort of poke at me. Okay, when he knew good and well I was in the right. I was right. Okay, and what I do should have nothing to do with my son. My son and I are two different people. We have two different sets of values, two separate ideas. So I really think, working for these, being a part of this network that I believe is primarily Mormon or some Mormon offshoot, has been the worst experience of my life. Okay, and I would have never chosen that. I would have never done that. Okay, like I said, I do get this feeling that my son's ex-boss also has some sort of or not, idea in his head that, Elon is going to be someone in my life at some point, and that my answer is, that's nice, but that does not supersede my need to have a career. It doesn't supersede my need to have a career. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm somebody who looks at Elon. I think, oh, he's cute or whatever. But I'm not somebody who thinks, okay, Elon is all I need in order to support, to make me satisfied. What about it? Yeah. So yeah, I'm a new type person. I'm somebody who has, you know, more, I guess, more interest and more intrigue in, promoting my innovative ideas, correcting workplace injustices, making things better. And this is what I'm focused on. And until I work, I don't want to be in a relationship with anybody. That's going to have to be postponed. Okay, I need to get to work. That it is what it is. Okay, and I don't like having to work within this network. It's the worst thing. It's the worst thing. Like I said, if I was in a professional network, I would not be in the situation that I'm in now. Okay, I will tell you, if I was running a professional network, the people who are in my network, my goal is to make sure that they're not unemployed. If I'm working with the right network, I would not be unemployed. This is what I'm saying. I unfortunately have to be associated with the most unprofessional people. I do not like working within this network. It's the worst. Okay, the message I'm getting right now, yeah, I think that's wonderful that Elon wants to contact me. Whenever he does, okay? But yeah, I'm not happy with this network. I'm not happy with it. Um, okay, so the other message I'm getting is about aliens and, yeah, my alien terrible spread, not terrible, yeah, card spread that I'm doing. Yeah, I do believe that there's a certain group of people, like, for example, maybe, if we're talking about aliens, okay? If we're talking about aliens, okay? Now, personally, Rex Laverne reminded me of maybe like a gray of an alien, okay? And the reason why is because And perhaps maybe my son's ex-boss too, because they don't respect your rights. They don't respect your rights. Okay, and they don't respect your rights, nor do they understand them, and they feel vindictive every time you try to assert your own rights to get out of their situation. This is why I don't like them. You know, there are certain people who don't understand. Like, for example, if you do something, like you go to, you might choose to go to Albertsons, right? And because they're the kind of people who prefer, like, maybe Bonds or whatever, they feel as though they want to penalize you because you have a different choice, because you have a different opinion, because, you know, and it's not a matter of right or wrong, it's just your choice. You know what I mean? I'm angry because Rex Laverne had no license. He had no. I never had any formal agreement. He has no reason to think that he had any right to manipulate my employment at all. And of course, once again, the message that I'm coming up in my mind is some of this has something to do with Elon Musk. Okay, and like I said, Elon Musk is cute, but I would never hold my career back for anybody. As a matter of fact, you know, I would prefer to be in, if I'm going to be in a relationship or you know, date somebody, I definitely want to work while I'm doing it. Why? Because I don't know who these, you know, if there's any people who might be of gray, like for example, Rex Laverne, and definitely Rex Laverne is gone, okay, but as far as my son's ex-employer, get out of my life. Get out of my life, okay? Because you do not mesh well with me. You do not have, you know, any of the same sort of goals. I personally take that you terminating my son as a death threat. Okay, that's exactly what it was. Okay, and I don't know who you are, but I wish to God you'd kill yourself. You are so fucking obnoxious to me. But yeah, my career is important. Okay, and I hope that Elon understands this. Now, I need something more than that. You know, I can't, you know, maybe, and I also get this message about me being motivated to complete my project, you know, and I don't feel motivated. I mean, there's times where I do, and there's times where I don't. And you know why? What makes me feel demotivated is knowing that I'm associated with this network. I do not get any motivation from this network at all. Okay, first of all, they took it upon themselves to decide my living arrangement. Okay, I love my son. Okay, but you know, when I am somebody who needs my house spotless clean, yeah, I need my house completely organized. Okay, so I understand. I need my space. Okay, so they decide to choose my living arrangement. Okay, I am not motivated with other people living with me. Okay, so then there's days where I have to go out of the house and then I have to get myself psyched up, okay? There is nothing beneficial about this network I'm associated with. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, they have ruined my life and they've ruined my son's life. Okay, my son should not be living with me. And I love my son very much, but it's like, you know, no, I don't. I'm always going to prefer mysticism over people. Meaning I'm always going to prefer, you know, moments of prayer, meditation, whatever. And that does not mean that I don't love my son. It's just that, you know what? Okay, there's a certain, I forgot the name of the chemical, okay? But there is a certain chemical that emits from your brain, just like, you know, I was talking about serotonin or whatever, okay, and I forgot the name of it. But like when you see clutter, okay, there's a certain hormone or whatever that activates in your brain that causes distress, okay? And my son, I love my son, but he's not the cleanest person. Okay, and it's you know, that's how it is. Okay, and we only have so much space in this place. Okay, and yes, maybe it doesn't matter to other people, but it matters to me. And see, I understand what my needs are. Okay, and I have already tried to arrange my life to accommodate my needs. And then I have these people who have no right to overstep these boundaries and create these sort of problems. I'm not happy with it. Okay, so no, I find no motivation within this group. You know why? Because we're not compatible. I'm not compatible with Rex Laverne. I'm not compatible with my son's ex-employer. Okay, and really, you know, the idea of working in those sort of environments is very demoralizing. And these people are the worst people to ever be leaders in a workplace because I honestly can tell you, I think working for Rex Laverne, Like I said, at the time it was decent, okay. But this is the same man who was, causing me to be blacklisted, shadow banned, and everything else. And like I said, I'm tired of people thinking just because I might like Elon Musk is not going to satisfy my need for my profession. Okay, it's not. Okay, it just isn't. Okay, and I'm very specific about and passionate about my brand of my introduction of my ideas into the workplace. I do not want them watered down, modified, or anything. And so I don't. I want Elon Musk to understand that. I want him to understand that. Okay, that yes, I do like him. Okay, but I do not ever want him to think that I don't want people to think. I resent the network trying to. I just resent having a network that doesn't mesh well with my goals. Okay, I feel as though I'm always professionally unsatisfied because really I feel like I want to do more and or the kind of stuff that I want to do, and I'm always stuck with something that is mediocre. And I do not believe that. Okay, so, to me, if Elon Musk wants to contact me, then let him contact me. Okay, but um, you know, I I I want to know, like, is this network going to leave me alone? Are they going to get out of my life? Because um, that's not the important thing. Okay, number one in my life, my career or my goals are always going to be number one. They're always going to be number one. You know what I mean? And like I said, I like Elon, okay, and I hope Elon, I don't want Elon to be, but see, this is just, it is practical. I'm being practical. I'm all I have. I cannot sit here and rely on Elon Musk for anything. Don't, and this is not me insulting Elon, okay? It's just the fact that, you know what, I have to pull my own weight in this world. I do not rely on Elon, and I do not want people putting pressure on me to marry Elon. Okay, because I will not be in I would not be in a good marriage with Elon. Why? Because Elon Musk has I would like Elon Musk maybe for affection or whatever. Okay, I am not in any way able. I'm not functional as a wife. I am not somebody who wants to be in a relationship. I do not believe in marriage. Period. Period. For my own safety and for my own protection, I do not believe in marriage. Okay, so I need to work. Okay, so what do I need to do something because this is not working out for me. Okay, and yeah, I am working on my. I mean, the motivation for my projects is very difficult in this living arrangement. I'm telling you right now, it's very difficult in my living arrangement. Okay, let me explain something. I understand. Like me and my son, we do have different views. Okay, on a lot of things. Even though my son has certain things about me, but we have different views. Okay, like I said, my house has to be clean. Before I even start something, I like to make sure my dishes are clean. Okay, before I can really be happy or content or feel like I can get down to work. I want my oven range clean. I want my bathrooms clean. This is how it is. Okay, and my son doesn't understand those things. He doesn't get it. You know what I mean? And it's like, and then I'm putting pressure on him. And then it's like, you know what? This was a bad idea in the first place. It was a bad idea. Okay, so what? Okay, let's just say, for example, the message I get is, okay, so what if Elon Musk does become my an official boyfriend? What is that supposed to change? I still need to work. I'm not asking, I would never ask him for money. Okay, so it's like, I need to figure out my plans. I need to figure things out. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to work, because I can't trust the environment that they made toxic. Okay, I'm afraid to go on Indeed.com. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Okay, and all of this was created by this particular network that should have never been handling my stuff in the first place. They should have never touched my stuff. And yeah, I do. I wake up at night and I wake up early in the morning and my brain spins out of control. Why? Because I need to know what I'm doing. I need to know what I'm doing. Originally I wanted to move back to Lancaster. That's what I really wanted to do. I felt like I'd rather move back to Lancaster. Okay, but I've been away from Lancaster for a very long time. I have no idea what they have there. Now, I keep getting messages that people expect me to have fun with Elon. I'm the kind of person, I don't have fun until I'm working. My bases have to be covered before I go out and see people. I get tired of people trying to make make up choices for me. Okay, it doesn't work like that with me. I'm very particular about how things are, and I don't like people thinking that they have the right to arrange those things. I would not be happy dating somebody knowing that I'm not working. I don't. Okay, to me, it's like those things have to be in order. All of that has to be in order first. What other thing? No, I need to work first. I need to work first. It is what it is. You know what I mean? I don't like people interjecting their life or their ideas on me. This is why I fucking hate Rex Laverne. I hate Rex Laverne and I hate my son's ex-employer. You know why? Because to me, my son's ex-employer, he was unrepentant. And I take his terminating my son as a threat. Why? Because he had no right to punish my son for anything that I do, because we're two different people. And then also this issue about my dad, my father's apparition. Like I said, nobody protected me when I was all by myself. Okay, nobody protected me from their illogical harassment. So I have a protector who's with me. Okay, and whether my dad becomes visual or whatever, I'm not aware of it. I don't see my father. I don't see the apparition. I don't see that. But apparently, I guess it gets caught on camera. I have no control over that. I don't think I don't think about those sort of things. Okay. Aside from that, if I had the ability to choose the kind of company I would work for, I would work for a company that had innovative ideas. I would steer clear of anything Mormon related. Okay, I don't want anything to do with Mormons or any sort of religion that is going to sit here and complain about, what it is I do at home, what I'm wearing, whatever. Okay, that's no one's business. It's no one's business. Okay. I get this message about contacting me on Facebook. Yeah, I have got a lot of friend requests on Facebook, which I think is cool. But like I said, I haven't really, this is like the first time I got on Facebook today, right? And I just looked at my friend request, not really looking for my friend request, but I was looking through my notifications, and then those pop up and stuff, and that's cool. You know what I mean? But I do notice that when I post things, I don't get a lot of response to it, and I want to know exactly how my Facebook page is being arranged. I do know that there's a lot of perps on it, and I do know that Rex Laverne tried to suppress my work because I believe this Mormon group felt extremely pressured or in competition with my views of spirituality. When other people have more. I don't know. I'm not interested in competing against spirituality, but I do think it's important for me to connect to people who share the same views as me. Okay, and I don't like, the idea of if Mormonism or any other religion was so great, then people would instantly gravitate towards it. You know what I mean? I just, I'm not happy with this network. So if there's any network remnants hanging around, like people that I used to know or whatever, no, and I get the feeling that this group, like people that I used to know, they feel like I'm happy. Like, and I get tired of people assuming that I'm happy. I'm not happy. Okay? I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all. Okay? I'm disturbed that, I had to work for Rex Laverne. And that disturbs me already. I'm disturbed that, my son was terminated from his position from a stupid Mormon fucking fanatic who, wants to hold things against me, and punish my son on my behalf, which I don't like this person. Okay? I don't like this person. I'm concerned because, this is my last time on earth and I want to be fulfilled when it comes to my career. My career is always going to come first. Yes, it comes first before Elon Musk. Why? Because I have to have my foundation. I have to have my basis covered. And that's how it is. Okay, because I believe in smart planning and making decisions that are right for my life. I do not believe in relying on Elon Musk or anyone else. That would be me using Elon Musk, and I will never use anybody for their resources. Okay, and that's my choice. That's my choice. Okay, and I have a right for that. I have a right to that. Okay, and I would prefer to work for a company like if I could find a woman-owned business or whatever. Preferably, it would be better if I could. But I don't have the resources to have a business myself. I did post, my my I guess my career aspirations on Alignable, which I was just doing that because I guess I don't know out of boredom maybe, but I also felt as though it's important for people to understand my skill level. I need something better than what I've been getting. You know what I mean? It's not fulfilling me on any level. What else? Okay, yeah, I do get the message about the divine providence versus man-made puppetry. There's a lot of people. I am proven to be associated with God, but I'm not trying. That's not something I'm trying to show off or anything like that. I think these because of all these bizarre things that have occurred. Rex Laverne, as arrogant as he was, and as well as his stupid sidekick, which I believe was my son's boss, thought that I was trying to show off. It has nothing to do with that. What it was is I was being pressed to the wall. I was being, shadow banned, blacklisted, bullied, and I needed to stand up for myself. And this is why we have these weird miracles that are occurring, because these people were in the wrong and they shouldn't have touched God's chosen one. That's the way it is. Okay. So, yeah, that needs to speed up. You know what I mean? You know, if I had the choice, I would never work within a network. I would never work within a network. Okay, but I'm terrified of going outside of being trying to find a job because of the garbage that they created. And I'm terrified because I would prefer to manage my career, uh, but I'm afraid to do that. You know what I mean? I'm afraid because of their stupidity. Because unprofessional people have created it, all of these dramas when they should not have done it. You know what I mean? And this my so-called professional network were not professional at all, because if they were, this would have never happened. You know what I mean? And see, I understand these sort of things, and this is why I feel so angry. So here I am at 54 years old, and I need to work. I need to work. You know what I mean? Dating Elon would be fine, but see, I have no interest in marrying Elon. Elon would be like my permanent boyfriend or whatever, however that would work, and I would never ask for a dime from him. So I still need to work. See, and this is what I'm talking about. People who in their ideas and these, people getting excited or, trying to, direct things that they shouldn't direct. I can't live like this. I hate being a part of a network. I hate it. You know what I mean? What I'm talking about, I hated being associated with Rex Laverne. Okay, I did not like being associated with Diana Ross. The combination was very explosive. It was miserable. Okay, but now, what am I going to do now? I need to figure this stuff out. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm not going, I don't believe in relying on, people for their money or anything like that. I would never ask Elon for money. I would never rely on him. I'm not going to end up marrying Elon. So I still need to work. Okay, anyway. So that's my concern this morning. It's like, the fact that I was, in a situation with dealing with Rex Laverne. And I honestly can tell you, I do not like people like Rex Laverne. I do not like dealing with people who, run their businesses based on their skewed logic and their religious views. Okay, and because what they end up doing is they end up trampling on my rights, and then they do it in a way that's so arrogant, like like they were justified in doing it, and it's just like, oh my god, um, I don't want to have to deal with that again. I wish there's times where I wish I could go back to Lancaster, but I don't have a means to do that. I don't know what kind of companies are out here in Bakersfield, mainly because, I don't really know the area very well. And some people would be like, oh, that's shocking. How is it you don't know the area? I would go to work and come home, and I really don't have, I don't have like a social network to where I'm like, oh, go over here, whatever. My life has been very tightly controlled by this particular network. You know what I mean? But I know, I wish people would stop the fixation with Elon Musk. The relationship with Elon Musk is not going to happen unless I work. I have to work. You know what I mean? And it's like, this issue needs to get resolved like very quickly. You know what I mean? And quite frankly, when I think about the people that I might have to deal with, it doesn't make me very excited because, um, okay, wait. Okay, yeah, it doesn't make me very excited because, I've dealt with trauma in the past. I dealt with unprofessionalism in the past, but I don't know what else I could do. Hopefully, I'm hoping that companies. I did get the intuitive message that a lot of companies are removing, what do you call it, their dual affiliations, and that's good. I mean, I wish it was back. It was like back in the '90s, to where, like, if you sent off your resume and somebody would be interested in your skills and they would pay for your moving cost and all that stuff. I need a change. I need a change very badly. You know what I mean? And it's very hard. See, I wish people understood that it was a bad idea to have my son move in with me. It was a bad idea to have that happen. Okay, and I get the feeling that it had something to do with me being wearing what I want. You know what I mean? And you don't punish people for their own individual choices. You know what I mean? And it's not my son's responsibility to sit here and watch what his grown mother is supposed to wear. You know what I mean? And then expect me to be motivated to keep up with my projects when everything about this group is completely demoralizing. I hate this group. And they know, and see, this is what I hate about it. It's like, you tell these people that you hate them, and because they're like either gray aliens or something, they don't get it. That's why I don't like them. Um, what is it? Okay, and? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of getting some intuitive messages. Okay, yeah, like I said, the whole intuitive messages come in, and it's always about Elon Musk. Okay, but like I said, I'm not relying on Elon Musk. I'm not relying on Elon Musk. Okay, I need to secure my future. Okay, that's what I need to do, and I can't sit here and like rely on anyone. I don't want to rely on anyone, but I'm going to say, I'm trying to figure out how to proceed, because either if I still have a remaining network left, they're not working fast enough. Okay, like I said, I'm not trying to complain or anything like that, but if I'm supposed to be a part of a professional network, I should never be on things like unemployment. Seriously, I shouldn't be. Okay, because number one, the most of the times that I have been terminated from my employer, it has been based on illegal things. Okay, so then I walk away, I'm completely traumatized, I need another job. Months go by, months go by, months go by, and then I try to, make money, right? I want to make this very clear. Do not ever touch my things again. Do not ever touch my things again. Do not sit here and think that, you have, and I'm talking about what's left of this group, okay? This could be a part of the soul tribe or whatever. My career, what are you calling, not my career, my outside projects have nothing to do with you. They don't have anything to do with you. And it bothers me. Like, it bothers me because, I want to know what's going on with my projects. I want to know why do they feel as though why do they feel that? Why do they feel as though they need to attach themselves to me? And I get the message is it's because I make people believe in the divine. Okay? Why is that? What about that? Is it because, okay, I think it's because the weird things that occur around me. Okay? Like, for example, I caught Rex Laverne. I called him out. And the apparition thing. And okay, so look, this message is to my network. Okay, this does not work out. It's not working out. Okay, I have, you know, goals, and why do you feel as though it's okay for me to, you know, live a reduced quality of life just because you can't get your crap together? I'm not trying to be mean or anything. It's just that, I've been out of work since February. Okay, and I'll apply for jobs. I rarely hear anything. Okay, and I do think that it's important for places like Indeed.com to make sure that jobs are not the jobs that get posted are actual jobs. Okay, and this can be done by interviewing the people or getting some sort of collecting information as to when people post their jobs, and then also following up with the employer who posts a job. Did that position really get filled? There should be some sort of justification, ideally, if a person posts a job. Okay, because to try to prevent things like um, fishing or baiting, through employment, okay? Those things need to get weeded out. That's another part of the clearing away of human trafficking. Because people who post those kind of fake jobs, that's a part of human trafficking. Okay? You're wasting a person's time. And it's wrong to do that, okay? Um, what else am I want to talk about? Okay, a lot of people view me as deep and truthful and very serious. Like, I'm a very serious person because I talk truth, right? And that's important to me. And they do talk a lot about. I get a lot of messages about the apparition. But see, that's not good enough. It's not good enough to be on, some sort of assistance or expect to, I don't like being on food stamps. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't think any respectable person should accept that. Meaning, like, you get, and it's nice that, those things are available if you need them, okay? And I'm somebody who I do not abuse the system. I'm not somebody who's like, yeah, I'm satisfied and I can sit on, be on food stamps and I'm not going to sit here and worry. The goal is to always better yourself, okay? It's always to better yourself. And I don't respect, people who just sit there and think it's okay to constantly collect that kind of stuff, okay? I'm not happy with it. But I, I am somebody who is, you know, I'm somebody who cares about my work, and and I understand my peculiar, like, idiosyncrasies. Okay, I understand, what keeps me motivated, and you should know who you are. Like, you should know yourself. Okay, and I understand that I'm somebody who is better off by themselves. I am better off by myself. I work better by myself. And like I said, I love my son. He's always welcome to come back home, okay? But, ideally, people should be living in their own spot. You know what I mean? Like, now that my son's here, I don't have a patio to go out to. I can't go out on my patio and relax because there's overcrowding. You know what I mean? I can't go out to my kitchen and feel happy about cooking anything because it's messy. You know what I mean? It's messy. And, it's like, yeah, do I believe, like, a clean house matters when it comes to, you know, being able to function? Yeah. This is one of the reasons why I highly favor things like Feng Shui. I really do. Okay, I do believe that, things like your pipes and stuff like that should be, like, well functioning and whatever. And then people, when I try to explain how I feel when you're in a living arrangement, then you make the other person feel uncomfortable. And this person wouldn't be uncomfortable had we not be put in this situation in the first place. Also, I do believe that, these sort of living arrangements that were forced upon us can actually tax relationships. Meaning, like, I love my son, right? But then you start getting angry because you get frustrated with his behavior, right? Which he has a right to have his behavior. You know what I mean? It's like, I understand not everybody is as clean and picky as me. Okay, they're not. They're not as picky. They're not as clean. They don't require. I require that. In order to function, my stuff better be clean. It better be organized, and it better be, like, I want the sun, like, beaming through my house. I want, a positive vibe that is that revolves around cleanliness an order, okay? But unfortunately, we have a very small place. My son is here, and it's not his fault, okay? But I'll tell you whose fault it is. It's the network's fault. It is the network's fault, okay? Um, it is not anyone's fault but theirs, okay? And they could sit here and try to blame it on my apparition and everything like else like that. The fact is, that is that is an excuse on their part. It's no one's business. Okay, that does not mean that my son had to move in with me. Okay, but do I think that my son was moved in with me because they were trying to orchestrate my son trying to either dictate what his grown mother does or to spy on me? Yes, and that's completely inappropriate. Completely inappropriate. Now the message I'm getting now is about my father's apparition. What about it? Um, oh, okay, but what does this have to do with? I'm trying to figure out what does this have to do with my dad. Okay, yeah, I need to be around an employer who understands the situation. You know what I mean? I wish people would have not have made such a big deal about the apparition, but I understand coming from the standpoint of people who don't fully understand the supernatural. Yeah, I get it. But really, what should have been done is I should have been made aware of it, okay? So that I could make a decision based on that. I needed to know, okay? So then they felt as though it's my it was their responsibility to manage how I'm supposed to, at the environments I'm supposed to be in and everything else when I'm the one who has to live with it. The biggest mistake is for them to have kept that a secret. That was their mistake. Okay? And I'm the one, I do not need to be suffering for that. My father's apparition is there for my protection because these people failed to protect me. They did not protect me. As a matter of fact, they put me in these situations, okay? Now, right now, I need to figure out how I can get this changed because, I cannot continue living in this arrangement. It is not something that is conducive to anything that's positive. My son should be moved out on his own. He needs to find his own place. And it's like I said, it's not because I don't love my son. I do love my son. It's just that you know what? I'm somebody who needs to be by myself. I need to be by myself. You know what I mean? I don't like not having, a garden to go into. I don't like having, my bathrooms and my kitchen's messy. I don't like any of that. You know what I mean? Because I understand that, the order in your home relates to how you function, and yes, it does. Now I'm trying to figure out, yeah, okay. A lot of people do know that I do have great ideas, and that my business acumen is, far exceeds most people. Okay, I need to do something with that. Meaning, I need to build my career on that, and I need to do that. You know what I mean? I need to do it as soon as possible. You know what I mean? And I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated to be in this situation. I'm angry that I'm associated with this. Um, I'm angry that I'm associated with this network that to me does not work fast enough and has confused the issue and made things more difficult for me. Okay, I'm going to say this right now. In this network that I'm associated with, I do not want any religious influence. If there's anybody who has that, I want them out of my network. Okay, I'm going to make it very clear. I have my own standards. If you cannot, I can't deal with that. I don't want that anymore. Also, what else do I want to say? There are people who believe that it's a privilege to be in my social circle. I do appreciate that, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful in any way. It's just that, you know what, you guys need to work faster. It's not appropriate. Like, if I am, as a profession, and being in a network, and hopefully you're trying to be more professional, you don't let people slip into this state. Okay, because if I was going to be a director or leader or a part of a professional network, right? Do you understand that being associated with you guys, I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that, but it's anxiety inducing. It's anxiety inducing. Like, you're not handling it well. You're not allowing me to feel comfortable working with you. Every situation that I get is some sort of trauma related or whatever. Like the very fact that my son lost his job to this man, I personally think, and this man knew that I was in the right, right? But because he might be an alien gray, he felt like maybe, you know, threatened by the fact that, or just maybe just wanted to, release his frustration. He wanted to release his frustration, out of the blue because he deep down inside has some sort of resentment towards me because obviously he must have, and otherwise he wouldn't have let my son go. You know what I mean? And it's like, I do not see my son as me. My son and I are two different people. We are two different people. We're not the same. Okay, we might have some similarities, okay, but he has different views than I do, different likes than I do, different goals than I do, you know what I mean, intricate thought processes than I do. And it's like, to do that, that just shows how unprofessional. People like Rex Laverne and my son's ex-boss and stuff like this, I don't want to work for these sort of people, okay, because they lack professionalism. They do not know what they're doing. And then I guess he was, oh, okay, what else this man was trying to do? He was upset because I would buy what I wanted. I would go to the store and maybe I would go get groceries or something or go to the 99-cent store. That's none of his business. That's none of his business. And it certainly isn't something that, why is he concerned about, why? It's none of his business. And see, he's a part of a hate group. That to me right there is a hate crime. That's a hate crime. You know what I mean? Penalizing people for their own personal choices. I have the right to do that. To me, Rex Laverne and my son's ex-boss are no different than Ku Klux Klanmen. Okay? Because that's exactly the kind of stuff that they would do. Anyway, I am known for my uniqueness and my brilliance. That's a message that I'm getting. Yeah, I am a unique individual, okay? And that a lot of that is because, of my experiences. But like I said, it's difficult for me to have any motivation for my projects when I'm in this situation. You know what I mean? I do not feel motivated in this professional network because I do not believe that I'm really among people who are as professional as I am. This is not me being arrogant. It's just the fact that, if these people handle things correctly, Indeed.com would not be inundated with a bunch of human traffickers. Okay? It is what it is. And this is not just our problem. A lot of people are talking about how, they feel very uncomfortable with job ads. What is Indeed.com doing about job ads? What are they doing about it? The message I also get is that, I prefer mysticism over people. And I keep getting that message. And why is that important? Yes, I do prefer mysticism over people because people, for the most part, are not sincere, they're not consistent, and they're not loyal. What else message I'm getting? Okay, I did get them into a message that a lot of people are adhering to my moral system, which I think is great. But like I said, I've never asked anybody to follow my lead. I'm just somebody who I'm very frustrated with having to deal with unprofessional people. Okay, and I'm very unhappy with the fact that professions in general. Okay, are being monitored and directed by what I'm going to say white hate groups. And I'm not talking about all white people, but I'm talking about people who I'm. This is my theory, okay, right? Like I personally think that if there was an alien race, perhaps maybe Rex Laverne is like maybe a gray or something. He might be or some sort of uh, personality or whatever that doesn't understand that people do not like their being, what do you call it? Do not enforce your opinions on me. Do not, try to influence my life in any way. I highly resent that. Why? Because, I believe in my lifestyle. Okay? And I understand that Rex Laverne is somebody who, and perhaps maybe my son's ex-boss, are people who don't believe that women have rights. Maybe they don't believe that black people have rights or whatever. But the fact is, I still have to survive. You know what I mean? And I think that these people wanted to, like, literally destroy me. Like, they took my money, right? I would like to know why they felt like were entitled to do that. Why did they feel like they were entitled to do that? I believe that they were trying to reduce my quality of life for racial purposes. You know what I mean? They don't have the right to tell me what I'm supposed to have or whatever. Do I think that they made it so that I lost my car? Yes, I do. I want my credit fixed. I want my credit fixed. Okay? Because, I made an effort to get to pay my bills when I started, I tried to create my Ko-fi and my Patreon account. Why did they feel like it was their responsibility to take my money? Because, they didn't want me to be able to buy the things that I wanted. Which I don't really, I live in an apartment, for God's sake, okay? And do they now understand that is not something that's not their business? This is the kind of employers that I'm talking about. These are the kind of employers that people work for and they end up going through. And it's not just me. There's so many people talking about it. These are the kind of employers that need to be done away with. They need to be done away with, okay? Because they've reduced the quality of people's lives. They make work-life balance impossible. Okay, and I don't know if Elon Musk is aware of this, but these are the people. If I don't want these people like Rex Laverne, if they're part of this professional network, please remove them. They don't belong in my life. Do I believe that Elon Musk is some sort of maybe indirectly related to my professional network? He must be, because this name keeps coming up, okay? Okay, weed out these people. They don't belong in my life. Yeah, I should be able to buy what I want. Mind you, I don't really buy anything. I go to the 99-cent store basically for everything that I have, or the Dollar Tree store, or like Dollar General, or of course Walmart or whatever. It's not like I have a bunch of items. Why is this person resenting me? Why? Because I have my son's ex-boss resented my Spirit Traveler. You know why? Because I think he felt jealous, because his religion is not, what do you call it? He's just jealous, okay? But see, the thing is, and I believe that it is divine. You should not feel that way towards things that are divine. Another thing is, it's none of your business. I want you removed from my fucking life. I do not want you to be a part of my life in any way. And I'm talking about my son's ex-boss. Stay out of my life. I want nothing to do with you. I think you're trash. I think you are trash. I was hoping that you'd kill yourself, but whatever. Hopefully my biological mother, I hope she's gone too. I don't care about these people. Okay, and I'm going to make it very clear. People who mess with my career, I will never forgive you. You don't get forgiven for that. You don't. Okay, because anybody who reduces the quality of your life, you should never forgive them. Okay, right? Okay, I'm sorry for a minute. I'm going to stop and get some messages really quick. I have never met an individual that I felt was worth. I don't believe in sacrificing for anyone, okay? Because no one in my life has ever done anything for me. And whether they should or not, I believe we're all responsible for ourselves. You know what I mean? I don't have anyone in my life that I would care to reduce the quality of my life for, okay? In my belief system, this is my belief system, okay? That, I have to make, okay? The best choices for me, and I have to live in a certain state of mind, okay? And, there's certain people that I don't mesh with. I would have never consented to having anything to do with Rex Laverne. Never. I would have never said, and this goes for Rex Laverne and Rex Laverne's children as well. I believe, who is his name? Rex Laverne had his children. Okay, do I believe Rex Laverne's children are aware of my situation? Yes, I do. Do I trust them? No, I don't trust them. Okay, unfortunately, something that happens like this. Okay, and the very fact that the boss that my son was working for let him go. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you the message that sent to me is that I cannot trust anybody like you who are associated. And yeah, the reason why I believe that Rex Laverne was associated with my son's ex-boss is because Rex Laverne had these little notepads, right, in his company, and they were very unique. Like I don't recall seeing them anywhere ever. Like, they were just, little notepads, little small handheld type notepads, that, like a little piece of paper. But they were unique in the way that they looked, okay? And then my son had one. He brought one home, and I'm like, wait a second. You know what I mean? So I put these connections together that this was some sort of intertwined network, okay? Um, I don't want anything to do with Rex Burn's people. Okay. And I get this feeling that this group of people, like Rex Burn's offspring, are talking about, me being motivated. You can't be motivated to do a whole lot when you're in a living environment that you don't like. I don't like my living environment. Okay, I don't like it. I love my son, but it's like, I really don't like having to deal with, going downstairs and having to deal with, this is my home. Okay, and I don't want these people to be a part of my professional network. Um, and I don't want people thinking that, I have to work first. I have to work first. My a job working to me is more important than dating. It's more important than anything. That's always it's my foundation, unfortunately. You know what I mean? And I get tired of my network trying to make decisions for me or trying to tell me what's supposed to be important. That's what bothers me so much. It's always like, well, she's gonna like this and she's gonna like that. Okay, yeah, I would like being around Eli Musk. It would be nice to spend time with him, right? But not when my ducks are not all in a row. And yes, that is the first most important thing. I find it so frustrating to deal with this network because it's always like I don't feel like I try to make myself as clear as I possibly can, and then they come up with these other things. It's like, my priorities are never going to change. There's never going to change. Okay, I get the feeling that people see me as a respected genius, which is nice. What else? Okay, and as far as like me being, oh, okay, me being my royal lineage being acknowledged. Okay, is that why I'm in a network? I just want to make sure that people like Rex Laverne are purged from this group. And how do you expect me to have motivation when my living arrangement is horrible? My living arrangement is horrible. Okay, I cannot stand it. Um, right? No. Uh, I'm just frustrated, okay? So this just goes for the future, okay? This network that I am associated with, hopefully, I'm going to let you know that I do not want my son's boss having anything to do with me, okay? I do not trust you. I do not trust you. I don't trust you, okay? Um, yeah, it should be that way. You know what I mean? You do not ever try to punish my son for something that I do. Okay, my son is not responsible for me, and I do not want anybody like having anybody spying on me or using double agents or anything else. Also, you know what? I'm tired of this issue being a covert thing because I'm the one who suffered for it. Okay, no more covert ops bullshit. No more. Because, like I said, I'm the one who suffers for it. As far as Rex Laverne being an opportunist, he had no right to sit here and try to do that. Um, I can't tell you how much I hate that man. Oh, okay. I'm glad. I get the message that a lot of people like my politics, even though I don't consider myself a political person. I'm just somebody who lives what I believe, and I think that this is what made people pay attention to me. They're like, "Well, how come, you choose this, and how come you?" I find it very offensive that people would actually hold me back and harass me over it, like Rex Laverne and all this other stuff. I'm very angry about that. I'm very angry about that. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, um, number one, do not ever expect my son to sit here and be an informant for anybody. Okay? And, my son is not, it was wrong for these people to sit here and try to create division within my household by making my son spy on what it is that I bought, that's illegal. I mean, what I'm saying is illegal. I would say that that's not illegal, but it's unprofessional. The operation of gang stalking is illegal, okay? And this one little component of using my family members to try to betray me, okay? And why do I say betray me? Because these people were trying to make me live a life that was different from what I'm supposed to be living. This is the life I'm supposed to live, okay? So you do not sit here and try to create problems with my son. These are my values and whatever, and they were trying to make sure that my son was going to try to force me to live outside of my value system. This is my value system, okay? So it was wrong for them to do that. You stay out of my business, okay? And I think it's because, people were trying to groom me because Elon Musk was Mormon or whatever. Like I said, I would date Elon Musk, but I would never marry him. And aside from that, I would never convert to a religion just because I like a man. I would not do that because I understand I am not somebody who supports organized religion. You know what I mean? And I do believe that Elon Musk is no longer Mormon. And what else? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm looked upon as holy. And my humility with the divine is where, like, I understand that I want to be a righteous person. Okay, meaning like I want to make the right decisions. I don't ever want to inflict the kind of harm that has been inflicted on me. Meaning, like, the unprofessional stuff that Rex Laverne does is very damaging, as well as the guy who my son worked for, okay? I would like to see employers like this not exist. They're terrible, okay? They are terrible. Um, but I want to make sure that I live according to the divine. And meaning, like, and some people, because they're in part of, religions, they don't understand that. But I will tell you, I'm very happy with my spiritual views. It's difficult for me to continually stay motivated in my housing situation. It is because my house is not clean. It is what it is. It's overcrowded. I have, junk that belongs to my son, and I have my own stuff, and it's just too overcrowded here. You know what I mean? And and like I said, when you live with other people, they don't always have the same standards as you. You know what I mean? I'm somebody, I like my dishes clean. Like, if I know I'm going to start on something, like I'm going to start on my project, I want my dishes clean first. And some people are like, well, aren't you picky? I have the right to be picky. This is my brain process. I understand. And some people, they don't understand why do they feel like unmotivated or unfocused when they're in a crowded room. I believe that the science of things like feng shui explain why that is the case. Yes, I do. A lot of people are unaware of clutter and how it affects them. Okay, and I'm aware of it. Okay, I am very much affected by clutter. I am demoralized by clutter. Okay, it causes me stress every time I look at clutter. I like my house clean, perfectly clean. Okay, and like I said, my son's in his 30s. He shouldn't be living with his mom in the first place. Okay, and I think another reason why they had my son live with me is because of the apparition of my father. Once again, stay out of people's living arrangement. It is none of your business. You are completely unprofessional, and I hate dealing with you. So if there's people like this in this network, I want them purged out. From what I understand, my network is primarily members of my soul tribe, okay? And I do believe that my soul tribe, according to like this reading that I got a while ago, is no longer associated with, I guess, the Mormon faith, which I'm very glad, okay? Because I will tell you, the psychological effects of having to deal with Mormons is devastating. Okay, I grew up around Mormon people, okay? And do I believe that Mormon people lack empathy? Yes, I do. I believe that they lack empathy. And I feel as though they are a danger to society. That sort of mindset, okay? I was thinking as I was walking home yesterday, that I was, okay, they see this show, right? And I have not a TV person. I'm not, okay? But this is like back in the 90s. And, I used to watch, some of the things that were on MTV back in the 90s. Now, in the 90s, it was like, okay, MTV came out in the 80s, okay? And during the 80s, they were like, continuous music video station, right? And then, like in the 90s, they started venturing into different things, okay? Like the late 90s, they had this show called The Real World. I think it came on MTV. Am I right? Is it MTV? Okay, I'm going to say it's MTV. I think it was MTV. Anyway, I remember watching it, and I did not watch the show consistently. I only watched a few episodes, and that was usually when I was laying on the couch and did not feel like, messing with the remote control and turning on the TV, whatever. So I would be sitting there and watching this show, and there was this episode where this Mormon girl was living in a apartment. I think it was like she was living in a living arrangement. They'd make people live together, right? Of different backgrounds and different whatever. And this Mormon girl was just absolutely rude. She was absolutely rude. And do I believe the Mormons were responsible for taking my money? Yes, I do. Rex Laverne, they felt entitled to take my money. Why did they feel entitled to take my money? I do not know. Okay. Oh, because I would wear whatever I wanted. That's terrible. That's terrorism. He's going to steal from me because he doesn't like what I'm wearing. And in their warped mind, that makes sense. You know what I mean? And then the boss, my son's boss, has the nerve to terminate my son because I'm doing the things I'm supposed to or want to do. These people are terrorists. They're terrorists. Why? Okay, but anyway, going back to the real world, right? The real world where this girl, this Mormon girl, was calling this, I guess her roommate or whatever, the N-word, right? And she was crying because when he confronted her about how rude it was, and I think he must have done it in a somewhat polite way. She started crying, right? I think Mormons are living in a world that is completely detached from reality. Like they don't know how to deal with people. You know what I mean? And I don't want any Mormons in my group. I don't want any Mormons in my and I'm hoping my soul tribe understands this. If these people are Mormon and they're trying to spout their Mormon ideology, please remove them, because I don't want them a part of my professional network. I don't believe that Mormons and professional should even be spoken in the same sentence, because it just doesn't work with them. Okay, I'm going to look at Mormonism as a form of terrorism, because that's exactly what they are. You know what I mean? Basically, Rex Laverne was trying to force me to comply to his way of life, and though that justifies him taking my money. Okay, yeah, I'm very Mormons scare me half to death. Okay, they really do. Is there something else I want to say before I wrap it up? Why do they say that? What does that have to do with anything? Okay, okay, what is that? Okay, yeah, I do. I favor mysticism over people. Meaning, I don't believe in me. I would not change my life for anybody. I don't care about other people, really. I mean, I care about their well-being. I don't want them to get ran over by a car. I don't want to do this, but I have the right to can be concerned about my overall well-being. I have a right to be concerned about my mental health. And, if it's clothes that make me feel better, then it's clothes that I'm going to wear. And I don't, Rex Laverne, to me, he was a crazy man, and the people that followed him, if they ended up dead, then they deserve that, because you know what? There's no excuse to be that ignorant. None, no excuse. I'm glad that Rex Laverne is dead. You know what I mean? I don't know about his kids, but they're not somebody that I'm going to sit here and respect. I don't think I want a relationship with them either. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to put this all behind me. You know what I mean? I hope I don't ever encounter another Mormon. Now, this message that I got about me being recognized as a royal family or whatever, I get this message like we're the new royal family, okay? What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? Just because you have royal blood, what does that have to do with anything? That doesn't have me any sort of connection to the Mormon church. You know what I mean? I'm so sorry that Rex Laverne ever got involved in my life. Okay? He was not a manager of my career. He had no right having anything to do with my money. He had, my son's boss, to me, was a collaborator with Rex Laverne, stole my money, and then has some nerve to sit here and try to dictate what it is that I do. Okay? These men deserve to be executed. Period. And if I had the ability to make sure that this person was taken off the face of the earth, I would definitely do that. I hope he dies. Anyway, wrapping up this video, I talked for an hour and 19 minutes, okay? I can tell you right now, this message goes out to my soul tribe. I am not happy in this situation. If you could work harder to get me out of this situation, I would really appreciate it. Unfortunately, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I try to look for work, but I'm terrified to do it. I feel as though this situation was created by you guys, so try to fix it. Okay, I can't live like this. Okay, and Elon Musk is cute and everything, but that's not the end all be all of my problems. Okay, and the message I'm getting is take my time with my projects. That it's understood that I'm going through trauma. Yeah, I am traumatized. Um, that's nice that women are in the community are taking care of themselves. But like I said, if women in the community are only wearing nice clothes and makeup as some form of competition, then it's not really for their own well-being. They're doing it to compete. Hopefully, they're doing it because they want to improve their life. Okay, and like I said, I really get tired of people focusing in on me. I really just wish. I wish this never happened. And it's, I want my son to find a job and I want my son to move out of my house. Okay. I love my son, but it's like, this was a bad idea. It should have never happened. It should have never happened. I need to be on my own and I need to function on my own. And it's for my own mental well-being that I live by myself. Okay. And people like Rex Laverne is the ultimate in obnoxious. He is an obnoxious person, as well as my son's ex-employer. These men should not have anything to do with business. They are destructive, okay? Rude and just, it's shocking, okay? Because that money was mine. It's my money, okay? My money. No one else's, okay? And they stole it. And then they have the nerve to act like I needed to change. That kind of mentality is the kind of thing that I would associate with someone who belongs to the Ku Klux Klan. Okay, that was completely racially motivated, and I find it very offensive. As far as Rex Laverne's wife goes, I don't feel sorry for her either. I don't care about that fucking family. I don't care about any of them. Okay. To me, that whole group of people, are just low life people, and it's too bad that she got stuck with him. But at the same time, for some reason, I do not have compassion for her. I don't have any compassion for her, and it's like I keep thinking, okay, isn't she innocent in all of this? But there's something about it, and I don't know why. Why it must be something that I don't know, that I don't really think about. But there's some reason why I do not believe that she should have any sort of sympathy directed towards her, even though she was in an abusive situation. And chances are it's probably because she must have betrayed me in some way. If so, I hope you die too. Wrapping up this video.